All right, we here, man.
Yes,
Hood
I.
Hero
Yes, I.
TV. What's good with you?
Hey, man. Whew, just chilling, enjoying a
Hold on, let me
peaceful night.
it is a peaceful, beautiful night. I'll let that do what it do and shit. Trying to see if it'll go. But yeah, so where you want to start, man? Um, what's on your radar? It's a lot of weird stuff going on.
On the radar. What's on the radar? I mean, right now, everything pretty much is pretty much quiet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's things happening, but all everything is being pushed aside for the fact that humanity is being sat down. You know what I'm saying? Humanity, you know what I'm saying? People don't believe in meditation and this. Nature is being like, yo, sit down. Y'all think about who you are right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Mhm.
really, the spiritual component, I think, in a lot of this is not being dealt with. You know what I'm saying? There's a large spiritual component because we're not going to be the same globally as human beings after this. You know what I'm saying? This is
Right.
going to change. This is going to change our DNA as a species. You know what I mean? Just point blank. It's going to have people rethinking what life is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, you say we're gonna be a different species. I hope so, man. We need to be sat down. But the thing is, we need to come on the other side of this in a better position, not the same position.
Well, I mean, everything is relative. You know what I'm saying? We have to decide, what the a better position is. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, we haven't sat down to think about what that is. Because up until this point, um, the evolution of capital and industry has been considered a growth or a positive. You know what I'm saying? But we come to find out that that really hasn't evolved us. You know what I'm saying? Technology has evolved, but that doesn't mean human beings have. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we've really sat down and considered what is the best practices, in terms of the human species altogether. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think so. I think a lot of times we use spirituality as a little niche, but I don't think that we see that as who we are. You know what I'm saying? That goes back to the um, have your cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? I think we want to look at religion. We want to look at our God and present it to other people, but we don't necessarily want to be that to the point to where, okay, now I can't really use that as a badge of honor anymore. I just got to live it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are not ready just to live their life without acknowledgement, especially in the religious spiritual space.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the spiritual space, you have this situation where they are in Florida. They want. Hold on, let me show my screen. You see that?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I saw that today. hmm So I mean, what's that
Florida
mean? You know what I'm
stay-at-home
saying?
order shouldn't exempt religious services. I got a problem with that. They so easy. They easily, quickly want to blame the people for the spread of this. As far as I'm concerned,
hmm
if the churches can have church, then everything should be open. Why are they exempt?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday afternoon, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced a stay-at-home order throughout the state after weeks of reluctance to do so. It became the 31st state to issue such an order after many parts of Florida, including Hillsborough County, had already done so. Despite taking this critical step to flatten the curve and save lives, this order has a deadly flaw that will certainly lead to preventable coronavirus and potential deaths. What you think about that, man?
I think that that's a money grab. You know what I'm saying? I think that, you know, in God we trust on, you know, that's on the dollar bill is there for a reason. You know, I think as long as people feel that religion is still up and running, the economy is still sound. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people are looking at the reality of what life is, you know, and for and foremost, life in America is based off of slavery. You know what I'm saying? It's based off of work. It's not based off of, you know, these well-meaning philosophical forefathers. You know, it's not based off of evolution of Martin Luther, you know, and Lutheranism, you know, and Baptist and so on and so forth. I mean, it's slavery. Slavery is what catapulted human beings on the planet to another level. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that gets the due that it should. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, we don't understand that the spiritual prowess that we have in America is based because there was a cushion here for people to sit down and go through, you know, the different tenets and the philosophies, because they had the time and they had the space to do so because of the economics that were provided. You know, I mean that's just the reality of it. I mean, otherwise, you know, we'd be in a world where you had Buddha and you had Jesus still living in pretty much obscurity. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, you know, I mean, America, I think America made religion what it is today. You know what I'm saying? I think before America, religion wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, shit. You know, I don't think people might have practiced shit, but I don't really think they gave a fuck about it until America came about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was on a whole nother level.
Yeah, it was on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had the situation where in Europe where you know, for a lot of people, reading the Bible became a way to put yourself into the educated class of people, you know. But again, it wasn't necessarily the religion of the Bible. It was the fact that, you know, you could read and everybody else couldn't. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
they try to paint the picture that it was Christianity. You know, it's the fact that you could read and other people couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So let's frame it, you know, as it should be. It wasn't the faith. It was the fact that you were educated. You know, and at that time, most of the people who were educated were people who were part of the clergy. You know, so therefore they were able to hold power, you know, and sway over the masses because the masses couldn't read. You know, they could put forth laws and dictates and statutes. You know, what was the masses of the people going to do? You know, you didn't have a situation where you had mass media. You know what I'm saying? Where people in mass were educated. People in mass had the time, you know, to sit down and even think about what these laws meant, you know, and go over them line by line type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that case. The same thing with the Jews. The Jews, you know, didn't come to prominence because of their religion. The Jews came to prominence because they were highly educated, because they read the Bible all the damn time. You know what I'm saying? they needed the language, and the religion became a powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? So they could say and make pronouncements both from a statutory perspective or from a religious perspective that made them an elite. You know what I'm saying? Amongst themselves and amongst other people of the world.
And you know why I like that? Because we can use that as a weapon. Meaning, one of the most important things I'm taking a look at right now is making sure that the Constitution isn't being violated.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to weaponize the freedom of religion to
Mm-hmm.
a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm pretty sure that's the real reason why those churches are staying open
Mm-hmm.
in Florida. Why they doing that, and why it's going on in 31 states. They said
31. Wow.
31 states. The churches are being exempt.
Wow. That's
Know,
exceptional.
So you have accused of First Amendment violation against churches. City of McKinney amends stay home order. Now, it's something important that I want to check out.
Mm-hmm.
Get that off the screen.
I mean, again, as human beings, we have to ask ourselves, what is the point of reading and writing? You know what I'm saying? And what happens is, in order to make reading something of value, you have to make an end goal with that. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much the end goal, you read about God, you read about knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? So reading, the end goal of reading is to become a better human being. So religion, if you take that away, you take away basically the impetus for people to continue life as we know it. You know what I'm saying? Because for thousands of years, people were content not reading. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And people were content not really giving a damn about religion. You know what I'm saying? Or spirituality. You know what I'm saying? They had religion, they had spirituality, but they didn't put the stock into it. So that's why they didn't progress and at breakneck speed. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't put that carrot of this knowledge of God in front of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They thought they had it already, where in the Western mind, the carrot is knowing God always outside of yourself. So you always got to be educated. So because education is what puts you in touch with the creator. You know what I'm saying? And those are just two different worldviews. And the Western mind can't do without that worldview. You know what I'm saying? They can't get rid of the importance of reading, because then you throw away either the ability to know God, or either the ability to be brainwashed and be controlled. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, it all goes into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it says, when McKinney Mayor George Fuller issued a stay-at-home order on Thursday, First Liberty Institute, a legal organization committed to defending religious freedom, took notice. In a letter to the mayor, the organization asserted that the order violates the First Amendment's Free Exercise Clause and the Texas Religious Freedom Restoration Act. First Liberty's General Counsel, Michael Berry, sent the letter to Fuller on Friday morning, asking him to more narrowly tailor his order so as not to burden churches and other religious institutions. Within hours of receiving the letter, McKinney city officials changed the order. We were not surprised with how they responded, but we were surprised with how quickly it came. We certainly commend the city of McKinney, Berry told the Texan. The order had required that religious and worship services be conducted only online or by teleconference and limited those conducting the service to 10 people. It was changed to allowing religious services by video or teleconference or by other means that comply with the CDC's guideline of social distance.
So do they have guidelines
So,
when they come in, or they just do what they want?
Berry pointed out that the first order before amended placed a substantial burden on religious practices and that the city did not use the least restrictive means available to it. In contrast to its limit on churches, McKinney's previous order did not put a 10-person limit on other locations listed as essential, like the number of staff preparing takeout food at restaurants or on workers in childcare facilities. That's a good question, though. Are they really? However, First Liberty asserts that religious exercise is an essential and constitutionally protected activity listed in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Berry pointed to the creative ways that churches were staying within the CDC guidelines while still meeting together, like drive-in worship services where participants stayed in their cars to avoid contact with others and gathering in small groups or of 10 or less. Those were prohibited by McKinney's prior order. But Florida, they just saying we opening the churches. But the reason why I went to this article is because it gave a nice little, was it this one? Maybe it was this one. Maybe it was this one. It said that California's stay-at-home policy is constitutional. But this is what I wanted to share. The First Amendment to the Constitution guarantees the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Well, now let me state this. I respect folks doing the social distancing let me just make that disclaimer, to keep the coronavirus or COVID-19 low and from spreading. So me saying this is not about that. But I'm just saying
you ain't out there on the Beltline.
Actually, I'm not on the Beltline, but I did ride my bike. But the Beltline was a little too thick. It was a little too thick for me. But I did ride my bike today. But I overlooked the Beltline at one point. So my point with this is we can use the Constitution to our advantage, and it's going to make sense in a minute why I say this. So,
no, I mean I'm following you.
The strict prohibition.
They use it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The strict prohibition of any law abridging this right applies to state and local governments as well as Congress. Under the incorporation doctrine, which applies the Bill of Rights to states through case law via the 14th Amendment, the Supreme Court has fully incorporated the First Amendment guarantees to place these strictures on the states. There are not exceptions for emergencies in the Constitution. Let me read that again. There are not exceptions for emergencies in the Constitution.
So are you saying that they can't use martial law on us?
Bingo.
Are you saying that?
Bingo, man. So all this martial law talk that people are just automatically just throwing in there saying we under martial law. They can't do that, man. They can't do that, man. Let me put it like this: they can do it if you don't know no damn better.
Right. And if you don't demand your rights.
If you don't demand your rights, you don't have any rights.
Yeah.
Your rights only apply depending on how much you know your rights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it says there are not exceptions to emergencies in the Constitution. Guarantees are guarantees. In a 1990 paper entitled Emergency in the Constitutional Law of the United States, and we can use this. University of Missouri School of Law professor William B. Fish wrote, neither the term emergency nor any cognate of comparable generality appears in the text of the United States Constitution. The Constitution was intended to function in emergencies as well as in normal times, and therefore an emergency affords no excuse for deviating from its terms. So why do I make that point? I mean, because
it's obvious.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
This shit is obvious. Yeah. Yo, man, we got to stand on that. You know what I'm saying? We could use that going back down, bringing that down to Kemp, talking about this gang legislation, you know what I'm saying? Talking about we can't congregate type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Shit, who said?
Right.
The Constitution says, motherfucker, just like I can carry a gun, motherfucker, I can congregate like I want to as well, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Keep it a buck,
Right. And then how about this one? Mandatory vaccines.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional. You can't you're not going to be able to use this emergency to just say, nah.
You didn't see the guy in the hospital going off. You ain't see that video.
That looked staged, bro. That looked kind of staged to me,
that
bro.
Was staged. No, listen, that was staged.
It was
that definitely was staged like a motherfucker. Now don't listen. Don't tell me that shit was real.
Bro, that was so staged, bro. Man, for shits and giggles, man.
Stop
that right there was so damn staged, bro.
Yo, stop it.
I don't even know where I could find that to pull it up.
He just trying to make motherfuckers look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Talking about I'm finna start a revolution. I'm gonna start a revolution, man. If you don't sit your ass down somewhere talking that shit.
Yo, man, smack that motherfucker.
Smack a syringe in that motherfucker, man. Man, that joint right there was crazy, bro.
Yo, man. That was stupid as hell, bro. That was dumb as shit. I'm like, yo, y'all, you and I goes without saying. You know what I'm saying? God, but most people probably believe that was some real shit, though.
Bro, that was so staged, man. That was staged, bro.
Man. So and I'm trying to figure out, you got all these, so all them doctors were, so was it him? Were the doctors in on it too, or what?
Man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's the question I always ask, is how many people are actually in on it? You know what I'm saying? Not that it's not fake. How many people are in on it?
Maybe a doctor or two was in on it. Or maybe I don't know, man. It was just weird. It was a very weird situation.
It was bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I went to his Facebook page and looked at it. He looked like a legit motherfucker too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still like, that still was staged though.
It was still staged, man. But then he went back, man. It's like the man was literally coughing on his family, man. I don't know how far back you went.
I saw that post on his page. He was filming himself with coughing just for no reason.
Just for no reason, not talking about nothing.
Not talking about nothing. I'm like, yo, that's
hard, man. Don't nobody really do that.
No, why wouldn't you do that?
I'm sick, y'all. And then you're gonna go to the hospital and say, I'm not sick. You just said you were sick. It's okay. You sick.
And then he kept talking about, you ain't gonna stick no needle. Nobody was even talking about no fucking needle with you, bro.
Yeah, man. Crazy, man. I can't respect it.
Dude, the dude kept taking off his mask. I said, I'm like, yo, as soon as
Right.
listen, if I was there, as soon as he took off the mask, I was adding that. I was getting at
Yeah.
him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you ain't respect. You know what I'm saying?
You're not even respecting us,
I
man.
don't care how much you believe or what level you believe, but you still gotta respect
You
what
got
is.
to respect.
You know
You
what I'm
got to
saying?
respect.
You still gotta have fucking respect. That's in all areas of life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
We can have different. We can believe that the shit that it ain't shit. But
Right.
nigga, if you still come in this space,
Yeah.
you gotta do what's appropriate. You know what I'm saying? You gotta carry yourself appropriately. You know what I'm saying? You wear a
Right.
suit and tie to certain places. Like, yo, nigga, this is the time, nigga, that you put on a mask, motherfucker. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, man. Respect where you at, man. He wasn't respecting where he was at.
Nah, man.
You know, it's
You know,
folks in there sick for real. You just, you know,
you got you know that's the whole thing. Like you talking about going in the theater and yelling fire. You know what I'm saying? Just out of
exactly.
respect for everybody else, you
Yeah.
gotta put on your fucking mask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It could be no fire.
You
It
know
could
what I'm
be
saying?
no fire.
You know, but you still fucking with people though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know you fucking with people.
That's what
You know
I'm
what I'm saying?
saying.
That bogus ass motherfucker,
And
man.
then I hate when folks use the movement for their own look. Bro, you want to use the movement. Your whole family is, you the only person in your family with melanin. And now you want to talk that revolution talk?
Who was the black girl in some of his posts?
Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't go that far
No,
back.
but see, no, it was different because I seen
Okay.
the white lady might have been his mother, maybe.
Okay. Maybe
I
that's
don't
what it
know.
was. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not
All
sure.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm not
I
sure.
didn't even go that far back. I just went back a couple when
I
I saw
mean,
what it was. I'm like, okay, all right.
but then the nigga he was coming with them. You ain't know if that nigga was praying and fucking uh uh Arab and fucking Islamic language. You don't know if that motherfucker was speaking Hebrew. Like, yo, nigga, you was a fraud, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I can hear it even in that prayer was bullshit like a motherfucker. I'm like, yo, what? I'm like, yo, what is that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I
What
should
is it?
know. I should know whether or not, nigga, you coming from Islam, nigga, or you
Yeah.
coming from
Some
Hebrew.
should be recognizable.
You know what I'm saying? He just kind of like mismatched some shit together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's
You
doing
know,
all types of remixes.
fuck out of here, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. That was weird. That whole thing was just, I don't know, man. So another example of holding these folks to the Constitution and really getting at these representatives like, nah, man, you can't let them do this. We need to be on the representatives' heads about William Barr trying to get the department or the DOJ, Department of Justice, to just overstep the Constitution and say we're going to hold people indefinitely. We want to hold people indefinitely and suspend habeas corpus. That's what William Barr wants to do. And
That's what he wants to do, but
yeah. So it's stuff like that. Like we got to make sure, hey, I know y'all focus on the stimulus money, but we need to make sure
let's
as
get on the
Spanish
Constitution.
people that y'all ain't gonna let that slide.
You know, I mean, but you know, they let that 1966 slide, man. Shit, they don't know. They don't know what's important, man. You
Yeah, I
know,
know.
they don't know what's important. Fucking, they let that 1866 civil rights law. They let that thing pass, bro. You know, not understanding, like, you know, the whole thing with that is like basically, you know, whatever other people are saying. The point is that you you want to be able to bring your case, right? And say
Mm-hmm.
it could be. But then you want to be able to use the courts to be able to use the power of subpoena, you know what I'm saying, to be able to prove your case after that. You know what I'm saying? So they took away the ability to use the court to prove the case after you've made a thesis. You know what I'm saying? Because they said, man, you got to prove your case beforehand. So no, there is no using the court like like you're supposed to, with the power of subpoena, subpoenaing records and this
I know.
actually prove what your thesis was. You know what I'm saying? They're basically taking that whole ability, like, yo, what the you're destroying our ability to just use the court for what it is, period. Fucking, what do you mean I can't come in and subpoena and do all this shit and then prove my case? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's so retarded. You got to already have a proof before you even go to trial. You can't even go
subpoena
in there.
You know what I'm saying? I need to subpoena records. I need to subpoena witnesses. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I can't go to the company and be like, okay, let me see your records. They're gonna tell me, the law doesn't allow. I don't have to show you shit. You know what I'm saying? They might have a smoking gun, on the other side of the door. You know what I'm saying? In their fucking hand, and I can see it, and they still don't have to hand it over unless I'm already into the case. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, the court, he in there with that thing. Let us present it. You know what I'm saying? Before the jury.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking away their whole power. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit. But that's the thing. That's the great thing about ADOS, because we getting down into the nitty gritty of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
I was angry. I was angry, bro. Because Yvette, was doing the Color of Money show and all that, right? And then the immigrant sister, saying she's doing good work, but look at the movie The Banker. You didn't see that, right? I saw that. You know what I'm saying? I saw that bootleg. They knew all that. These two brothers, they knew all that. You know what I'm saying? Just by them being bankers, they knew all of the fucking racial inequalities. You know what I'm saying? That's why they did what they did. But because of the fact that we're not really looking into the history of how Black people intersected with the Constitution, we don't see that as important. And especially then you put on top of that feminism. Feminism doesn't even allow us to look at our political history as Black people before they got to vote in 1920. You know what I'm saying? We're not even allowed to even look at the fact that, because that's chauvinistic. That's chauvinistic to look at the fact, of all the gains that Black men made before Black women and white women were able to vote. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the climate that we're in. So basically, we have this whole stretch, from when we got the proclamation to 1920. We're not even looking at our political record. You know what I'm saying? We're not even looking at what we did within the courts. You know what I'm saying? Because no women were involved. So okay, we can't look at that. You know what I'm saying? Because women are dominating academia, they're dominating the business world. The whole focus is on them. They don't want to go back. You know what I'm saying? And look at that. When they go back, what do? They look at A Color Purple and all this other dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't go back and do movies. You know what I'm saying? Why you don't do a movie to figure out how we built the Wall Street? You know what I'm saying? Nobody. They say we had a Wall Street, but why you don't do a fucking movie saying how it happened? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I started to think of that. These bastards have allowed us as Black men to not understand that we've been holding this shit down from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? From the beginning. Because now when they talk about the Black vote, they talk about Black women like we ain't never done shit and we ain't never known what the Black vote meant. You know what I'm saying? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. We've been in this game. You know what I'm saying? But we're not allowed as Black men, because of mass incarceration, because of feminism, because of racism. We're not allowed to pass down male to male the successes and the failures that we've had. You know what I'm saying? To be able to continue to build, type of thing. It's just like with the immigrants. Immigrants and women, they all want to start in the 1920s and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
it don't go like that.
I mean, look at how at the beginning, everybody was against. Most of the Black women anyway were even like, they were like, yo, why are we going Why are we going back there? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, y'all looking at Byron the man instead of looking at the law. But you had a history of doing that. You doing the Color Purple thing, the CJ Walker thing that they just did. That was all bullshit. Y'all focusing on this feminist ideological ahistorical perspective of our past instead of looking at the important things. You know what I'm saying? The Constitution. What was the Constitution doing and not doing for us? You know what I'm saying? Since the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. You know what I'm saying? And what amount of pressure did it take from us? You know what I'm saying? For those things to happen. Nobody's doing a study on that. You know what I'm saying? But again, they're not doing a study on it because a feminist says, if the black woman is not in the highlight and in the midst of it, it's not really worth anything. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth looking at. You know what I'm saying? But our whole history is banked on the foundation of the black male vote. Our whole history is, fuck out of here, man. There was a sister online that was trying to get she tried to get at me. She had made this this statement saying how no matter if you were free, no matter what your color was, the ethnicity and the social class stature, ethnic stature, or the race of the female determined the status of the children. You know what I'm saying? And all I did was say, you know what? That right there is proof that patriarchy, black male patriarchy, doesn't exist, because the white male, the son takes the name of the male. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that chance. You know what I'm saying? And we still don't get the chance because of the fact is the names that we have are still of the fucking white men. You know what I'm saying? We're not passing on our own names. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the black woman, I'm saying we will place under her from a class point of view because of the fact is she was the determining factor for the children. You know what I'm saying? Whatever position she had, we could have been free free black men, but still, if the black woman was a slave, our status didn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? So that just by default says that we are below her, even from a class point of view. Now, I pointed that out, and instead of her addressing the politics and the class argument, she went into, oh, no, it's the exact opposite. Black women suffered more in slavery from a physical perspective. And I'm like, what?
No.
I'm like, first of all, I don't even want to argue that with you.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Why are you so sexist to even want to try to make a comparison like that when all I was doing was saying that we don't have patriarchy?
Yeah. That comparison shouldn't even been made.
That shouldn't have been made. Like, I don't even want to look at who suffered more.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't even cross my mind.
This isn't a trauma contest, Yeah.
But it's more. But they are in a power contest with us. You know what I'm saying? They are in a power contest that I'm not in. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at, we had the right to vote because that's that whole suffrage shit. You know what I'm saying? The white woman got her thinking that, this black man is this and that, and he think he is and that because of the vote. And the black woman, she like, yeah, we got to do by any means necessary. If it's getting these abortion rights or whatever, we gotta, push ourselves to the forefront that we had just as much power as he had, because we still don't have no power. So the only thing that the black woman is doing is arguing how much power we had in the past. But what is the benefit of that? You know what I'm saying? What is the benefit of arguing past power we had? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, it's irrelevant.
If I was something in the past and you were nothing, or you was something in the past and I was nothing, that'll have no bearings on what the hell is going on now. Now it's now, nigga. We both in the same boat, nigga.
Same boat.
Man.
Same boat, man.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. So it's like, intersectionality, man, that's the trick bag that we got to look out for today.
Mm-hmm.
The generation that's coming up after us, the college kids, they being bombarded with intersectionality.
Well, that's all they know.
That's all they know. And you can't even be woke without being an intersectionalist.
You
know? So that's the game that's being played. I can only imagine if we knew that they were going to hit us with the drug war of the 80s. If we knew that in the 60s, we would have been more prepared. I say all that to say, we know what the next play is. We know that Europeans, white folks, white Americans, they don't have the numbers. So they want whiteness to be spread to Latinos, Middle Easterns,
and to women, and to women.
Yeah, to maintain Black people as the bottom caste.
Yeah, from an ideological perspective, because all it is ideologically, you know what I'm saying, based anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's a framework.
Yeah, it's a framework. It's a framework. It's all about ideology. So we know what the play is. That's why we got to speak on it now, because it's not about somebody in some clan hoods that do a rally at Stone Mountain.
Nah,
that's not what the future holds, man. No. That's not the warfare.
That's not the field of play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The field of play is all in the mind. You know what I'm saying? It's all in the mind.
So that's why we can't take that for granted. We got to speak on that now. We got to deal with those issues now, so the next generation can be aware. Look, this is all game. This is game. When you make the comparison, white women have privilege from affirmative action way more than Black women have.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all are not the same.
It's not. But the crazy thing is, and that was the whole thing. We didn't look. We didn't look at the Black male, and we didn't look at the white woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was, in a lot of cases, just as rich and as powerful as the white man, irregardless of whether or not she had the right to vote or not. You know what I'm saying? And that's the trick that they try to tell the Black woman, oh, we didn't have the right to vote. You didn't need the right to vote. You know what I'm saying? You're in a caste system where you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 positions. You guys are dominating all 4 top fucking positions. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a vote. You know what I'm saying? When you are basically omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. You don't need
I wouldn't say the Black woman was omniscient.
No, I'm talking about the white woman.
Oh yeah. Exactly. No, they didn't need to vote.
They are all powerful. You don't need. You don't need a government. That's why they're talking about getting rid of the white people. Know that they don't need government. That's why they talk about small government, because they know they don't need it.
They don't need it.
They don't need a government. And so if you don't need a government, you sure as what do you need a fucking vote for? That's right. All the game. That's all a game that they want minorities and Black women to think. You know what I'm saying? That this is something, but for us, it is something.
We need government.
We need government. We need the vote. But the way the white woman has carried it is that she's always needed it. You know what I'm saying? And she couldn't do without it. And the reason that the Black woman isn't further along is because they held the white woman back, so the white woman couldn't help her the way that she wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like the white one really wanted to help her, so they give her that, that bait and switch, like, oh, I could have helped you more if I had the right to vote. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to do everything for the Black woman now. So now but now they're saying, you know what, I could have done just a little bit more if those bad men had given me the right to vote. You know what I'm saying? You're stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid. You're stupid.
The sex is like Frederick Douglass and the rest of them misogynists, you know. Yeah, man, that's the game. That's the game being played.
But that's what they put in the C.J. Walker movie. They tried to make Booker T. Washington into some kind of misogynist or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah, they try to make it as if they try to make all the men just like they did in The Color Purple. They try to make all the men try to hinder her from being wealthy and being powerful.
So would you say black men were the main enemies in the movie? Is that what you're trying to insinuate, or
no? It's in the Netflix series. That is what it is. And
wow.
and then they made her mentor, who was a millionaire before her. They tried to make her, because she was light skinned, say that she was holding her back too. When in fact, C.J. Walker wouldn't have been what she was had she not worked for the lady who first had the products. She got the products from that lady, and then they try to make a story like, oh, she was trying to stop her.
And then threw the colorism in there.
So they was like, oh, they up on it. We can't just do the black male thing. You know what I'm saying?
we gotta divide it up even more.
We got to put another division. You know what I'm saying? We got to add another slice to this. They keep them on their toes.
Crazy, man. Banana Republic. Banana Republic, man.
Shit.
Hey, so let me ask you this. And I titled this video, I Need Answers. I got questions. So it's some things that are kind of weird to me. Maybe you could help me out. All right, with this coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there was a disease, a new virus that just popped off in China, why aren't they investigating where it came from?
Well, I mean, I already got the answer for that.
Okay.
I mean, basically, we know that this is a biologically engineered disease because they are, you know, from the information that I looked at, you know, the gestation or the not the gestation, but the transfer from one species to another, that time frame was not in place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For it to mutate from one thing to the other, you know, for the virus to become associated, you know, and acclimated to a new host, none of that took place in Wuhan. You understand what I'm saying? There was none of that. It was just automatically, just like that. It jumped from animal to human, and that's a long process. That don't just happen. That don't just happen. It just jumped from an animal. You know, it was used to this animal. Now, animal DNA. Now all of a sudden, it. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't even find the bats. You know what I'm saying? You got one bat. You know what I'm saying? Where are all the other bats that were infected with this shit? You know what I'm saying? You full of it. First of all, you don't have all the bats, and then you don't have the time frame for the virus to get tired of the damn bats.
Right, exactly.
and then give it time, you know what I'm saying, to get acclimated to the human beings. That's BS.
It's BS.
It's BS. It was dropped. You know what I'm saying? Just plain and simple. Plain and simple. I mean, you know, you had the CDC shutdown. What was that in
Fort Detrick?
Yeah, Fort
No,
Detrick.
no, 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 no. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. You're right. They shut
It
that down.
wasn't- I don't know if the CDC shut it down,
No,
but
no, I don't know who shut it down, but it's shut down because they say that something got out. You know
yes,
what I'm saying? Type of,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. In Fort Detrick.
And then you had all that shenanigans going on with that Chinese government agent who was over here, you know what I'm saying, trying to recruit different people, on the government payroll. I mean, it's obvious, you know what I'm saying? It's just completely obvious that this is not a natural virus. And then we know that there was a patent, you know what I'm saying, that allowed them to study this thing to even be able to mutate it in the first place. I mean, again, nothing says that this is natural. You know what I'm saying? But at the same point, there ain't shit we could do about that.
No, it definitely ain't shit we could do about it. But where it comes into play is we can use this to say, no, we can't trust y'all. We can't trust y'all. So we can't. Not only can we not trust y'all with vaccines, mandatory vaccines in particular, but we cannot trust y'all with a 5G rollout. We can't do it. We can't do it.
Well, the 5G, and then looking at that, they also have nanotechnology, and they had situations. They had this one whistleblower that was separate from the coronavirus, where the Chinese whistleblower was saying that they infected people with this nano virus or this nanotechnology. They hit them with the 5G, and they just turned to mush type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It just destroyed them from the inside out or whatever. So with the chemtrails and with the whatever. So we ingesting all of that stuff. They hit you with the 5G. So the 5G, if we didn't have all of that foreign metals and stuff, the 5G wouldn't, so that wouldn't have no effect. But because we got so much of the chemtrails and all that metals inside of us, basically they can hit us with the 5G, and then that 5G is going to infect all of those. Is going to have some type of effect on all those impurities and metals and things that are inside of us.
So
that's going to destroy our immune system just right there off the rip.
So that's why I say we can make a push. We can't do nothing about what was done as far as it being being a biological weapon, but we can use that and frame that against saying, no, we shine a light on that, on what y'all people are capable of, and then we use that.
No, but listen, but here's the thing though. We knew okay, you need to look at the movie The Constant Gardener. They did a movie about this in when was that? I think this movie came out in the early 2000s. Constant Gardener. That movie was about how they go to Africa, and because they have the international laws here in America, the pharmaceutical companies go over to Africa, and they can get away with all kind of trials without having anybody's permission. All they need to do is pay whatever leaders there, and they can get a drug trial through in a matter of months, where usually it takes years of study. I mean, so I'm saying they did The Constant Gardener, that was a major motion picture, but nobody cared. I mean, I've been trying to look, man, if they ever let me, but they scrubbed it. Do you know that there was a couple years ago, I think it was a court here in Atlanta, 200 Russian doctors were found guilty for injecting Africans with the AIDS virus a couple years ago. And I mean, it was in the news, I had it, but shit, nobody else seemed like that was a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, 200 doctors that are supposed to be healing people are injecting Africans with AIDS virus. I mean, so we know. I mean, it's not like people know this, bro. People know this. You know what I'm saying? People are not unaware. I studied some biology when I was in university. People know, bro. You got people who are educated out there. They know the difference between all of this shit, bro. They know. I'm not even the smartest one, and I didn't even finish my degree. But hell, that little bit of information I got from studying biology was enough to give me enough of a platform to know what's true and what's not. You know what I'm saying? And you got thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of white people that are educated. They know better, man. They know better.
They know, but
know better.
You're absolutely right. They know, but they have to know that we know that they know that we know. They have to know that we know that they know that we know.
That's just like trying to. You have to apply that to racism too. They
Exactly.
still ain't moved on racism on that same note. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's some things we need to just not go for. And that's one thing I'm willing to have a coalition on. We need a coalition on racism as well, reparations also.
But that's the thing.
We need to stand on that.
If we got that racism acknowledged, I believe me, they couldn't do all these other things.
Right.
Racism is the original Manchurian candidate programming system for everything else. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's basically the template. You know what I'm saying? If you destroy that template, everything else just falls by the wayside.
Yeah. But you got a lot of ignorant people that think it came from a bat. So that's why it does need to be exposed. Like, no, this country do some real weird stuff. Let's check this out. Press conference dealing with the Harvard professor that got caught up.
Okay. By Chinese economic espionage and research theft in the United States. First, the arrest today of a Harvard University professor for lying about participation in a Chinese foreign recruitment program. Second, this morning we've unsealed a separate indictment of a Chinese national working as a scientific researcher at Boston University who failed to mention on her visa application that she is also a lieutenant with the People's Liberation Army. Finally, this office has indicted another Chinese national for trying to smuggle vials of biological material out of the United States to China and lying about it to federal investigators. That defendant, whose entry to the United States had been sponsored by Harvard University, was a cancer researcher at a lab at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. So, this morning with science, biomedical research, this is not an accident or a coincidence. This is a small sample of China's ongoing campaign to siphon off American technology and know-how for Chinese gain. Recently, Attorney General
no country poses a greater or more severe and long to our national and economic than China. China's communist government's goal, simply put, is to replace the United States as the world's leading superpower, and they're breaking the law to get there.
So they're trying to make it kind of one-sided, but no, it's they playing together, man. They in the thing together.
Like we said before, that's George Orwell all day. You know what I'm saying? They decide, you know what I'm saying, when, who's going to be in the forefront and who's not, who's going to win, who's not going to win. That 1984 George Orwell tell you the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right out from under them. The ruling Communist Party of the People's Republic of China wants what we have so they can get the upper hand on us.
Oh shit. He said they want what we have.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Them folks in it together. They in it together. So
I mean, it's obvious that it's just like outsourcing. You might have someone who's your enemy, but if you don't really want to be the boogeyman to your own people, you just outsource to your enemy. Your enemy don't like you anyway, so they'll be happy to beat up on your people for you. You know what I'm saying? To keep it in check. That's just like Job. You know what I'm saying? And God was like, "Yo, man, have out that nigga." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Have at him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's bad. The reality is the U.S. government is not above using a foreign power to oppress us. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it takes. You know what I mean? If that's what it takes. I mean, at the end of the day, just like a spy, the U.S. government is going to be like, okay, if you guys get caught, we're going to disavow, you know what I'm saying, that we had it, that we know anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Shit, are people not really up to speed with this shit? You know what I'm saying?
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. Let's go through some of the Pentagon bioweapons. We shouldn't even have to do this, bro. We shouldn't have to do this. The U.S. Army regularly produces deadly viruses, bacteria, and toxins in direct violation of the UN Convention on the Prohibition of Biological Weapons.
Yo, they outlawed that shit a long time ago.
Long time ago. They outlawed this a long time ago. And that's another thing we could say, hey, look, wait a minute now. Y'all still doing this? For real? And ain't nobody called y'all out? But just like you said, systemic white supremacy is holding all this shit up. Yeah. It's holding that, it's allowing them to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's no accountability.
None.
So when there's no accountability with the smallest thing, they can run rampant and do stuff like this. But look now, the chicken has come home to roost, in the immortal words of the great.
Yeah. I mean, like you can't deny it now. You know what I'm saying?
Deny it now.
You still got some folks that are trying to deny it and talking about they hope Biden gets in office along with it, but shit.
Right. I seen a post today. Somebody said, should Trump be indicted for waiting too long to fight this? I said, well, Dr. Fauci can be indicted because his office helped create this strand of the coronavirus. How about that? I still ain't got a response.
Right.
Because Dr. Fauci is their good guy. They consider him the good guy in all of it. So it says hundreds of thousands of unwitting people are systematically exposed to dangerous pathogens and other incurable diseases. Biowarfare scientists use diplomatic cover, test man-made viruses as Pentagon biolaboratories in 25 countries across the world. These U.S. biolaboratories are funded by the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, under a 2.1 billion military program cooperative biological engagement program and are located in former Soviet Union countries such as Georgia, Ukraine, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Let's go through just some of these. We're not even gonna read all of them. So this is Georgia's a testing ground for bioweapons. That's not the state of Georgia. That's actually the country in Eastern Europe. This article got a lot of good nuggets in it, but we're gonna skip some stuff. Pentagon contractors produce bioagents under diplomatic cover. That's a nice little moral. So I want to get to the nit grit.
I mean, I just had to dig up some stuff on the Microsoft dude. What's his name? Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, man. No, because I put up a post, right? I just put up a post about Bill Gates, right? And these folks, and understand how the program is so deep. These folks was jumping on me, talking about I was saying something against Obama because I was disclosing what this dude was doing.
Yeah.
They was trying to say I was an Obama hater. Like, yo, so that means that deep down you know that this dude is part of a governmental program then. Because I didn't say anything about I didn't lump him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put him together anywhere with government. You know what I'm saying? They in their own mind put it together and try to jump on my case saying that I was trying to say something about some government official, and I wasn't. That means that on one hand, they know everything, and on the other hand, they're completely fucking clueless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't think that's weird as hell?
Man,
you know enough to connect it to government without it being said, but you don't know enough to connect it to government.
Right. But you know what that is? That's cognitive dissonance, man. You know, people want their own reality in their head. So check this out. In 1970 and 72, sandfly fever tests were performed on humans according to a declassified U.S. Army report. U.S. Army activities in U.S. biological warfare programs, 1977. During Operation White Coat, volunteers were exposed to bites by infected sandflies. Operation White Coat was a biodefense medical research program carried out by the U.S. Army at Fort Detrick, Maryland. Despite the official termination of the U.S. bioweapons program in 1982, U.S. MRIID performed an experiment if sandflies and mosquitoes could be vectors of Rift Valley virus. So they just play all types of games, you know. Killer insects. The Pentagon has a long history in using insects as vectors for diseases. So they'd be training the insects, you know. Now check this out. It says the Pentagon, how to kill 625,000 people for just 29 cents cost per death. The U.S. Army report in 1981 compared two scenarios: 16 simultaneous attacks on a city by a certain type of mosquito infected with yellow fever and tularemia aerosol attack, and assesses their effectiveness in cost and casualties. So it came out so they can do all that for 29 cents a death, 625,000 people. So we're talking about a sick, demented mentality that is willing to do that, man. You know, you can't control where the mosquitoes are going on. You know, but people say, "Oh, that was the '80s. That was the Obama used drones. He's more. They're doing a little bit more. They're a little bit more targeted now. Okay, let me show you some. All right, they're a little bit more targeted. They don't use bioweapons anymore, man. We tripping. Anthrax, 2007.
You know, and we got some short memories, bro.
Short memory. Military biolab blamed for deadly CCHF outbreak in Afghanistan. 237 cases of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever have also been reported across Afghanistan, 40 of which were fatal as of December 17th. According to Afghanistan's Ministry of Health, most of the cases have been registered in the capital of Kabul. Why the Pentagon collects and studies bats. Bats are allegedly right. Bats are allegedly the reservoir hosts to the Ebola virus, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, which is key. Remember that. And other deadly diseases. However, the precise ways these viruses are transmitted to humans are currently unknown. Numerous studies have been performed under the DTRA Cooperative Biological Engagement Program in a search for deadly pathogens of military importance in bats. Bats have been blamed for the deadly Ebola outbreak in Africa. However, no conclusive evidence of exactly how the virus jumped to humans has ever been provided. That's
what I'm saying. That's the same thing with this one. You gotta show that, you know what I'm saying, how this thing how it progressed. You can say that it just happened. You know, that was the same thing with the AIDS virus. It was in one monkey.
Right.
You know, not more than one monkey. It was in one monkey, and then all of a sudden it was way over in the United States in human beings. Come on, man. Come on. That's not how viruses. That's not how life works.
Right.
I mean, come on, man.
Weirdo stuff, man.
I'm just saying. But how do they put this out to an educated public?
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying, with their eyes closed. You know what I'm saying. Most Americans will tell you that's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying. But they still swallow it anyway, though.
But just like they swallow Biden as their nominee, we dealing with the same type of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but that goes back to the religious aspect that I was saying.
Yeah,
before, man.
Yeah.
We live in this technological, intellectual life, but that's not really what's they're saying that's what drives us. But that's not really what drives us, bro. You know what I'm saying? Our beliefs and our religions, you know what I'm saying, will determine how we use the truth. You know what I'm saying? We use the truth as long or you know or until, you know, it doesn't serve our religious beliefs anymore. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's why you have people who are atheists, because they're like, yo, man, I'm tired of playing that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it ain't even about whether I believe or not. I just don't want to have the truth being determined by my beliefs anymore.
Exactly.
You know
right. Yeah. And a lot of people go atheist because they're like, man, other people have the freedom to believe how they believe. And I can't even have that thought process.
I mean, no.
I can't even have that framework in my religion because it said it's either my way or the highway.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about people even within the same religion can't even acknowledge. They'll throw you out of your own religion. Even if you acknowledge it. The thing is, they're like, but then they're even like, okay, within our religion, you can only, so it's like they'll lay out 10 things, you know, 10 statutes, but they'll be like, oh, but you can only acknowledge up to 5. and if you acknowledge the 10 that are actually on the paper, we'll kick you out.
Right. Crazy, man. But that's what we're dealing with, bro. That's what we're dealing with, man. You know? And I say all that to say, whatever your denomination is, that's no excuse. Because you had Nat Turner that was devout. So you can be a revolutionary and still have a belief system.
Yeah.
Be a strong, you know, Harriet Tubman will blow you away. But depending on what narrative you believe, she was intensely devoted as far as Christianity is concerned. So that ain't no excuse for cooning, man. You can be about that life and still walk whatever path you're gonna walk. But a lot of people just use that as a crutch to not go in.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
right. I mean that when I was talking about Bill Gates, now it was obvious because Bill Gates did a TED talk where he talked about the CO2 in the air basically affecting the ozone.
Right.
I mean, and it was obvious, right? So I put in there, and I think that was the post where the white lady was upset with me about. Was the Bill Gates one, right?
Right.
I think that's where it was the Bill Gates post because people were trying to defend him. They were trying to defend him for no reason, and I wasn't even making a political thing about it. I was just saying, yo, you got to be, basically you got to be wary of this guy because clearly, based on on the post that I put and his TED talk, he says, you know what, the CO2 is too high. Because we take in oxygen and give off CO2 in the air, causing the affecting the ozone. The more CO2 is in the air, you know what I'm saying, the more the ozone is destroyed. So his thing is, if we ramp down the population, you won't have as many air breathers, you know what I'm saying, to put out as much carbon dioxide. He says that.
Yeah.
He says that population control affects the ozone. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people were saying, no, that's not what he's saying. He clearly fucking said that. He clearly
But they will tell you did not hear what you're hearing. You did not hear what you're hearing.
Yo, stop it.
And he says it, man. He says it. And really Bill Gates is the glue that binds China and the US. He is that guy that slithers in between and works that space. It's that dude.
Right. I mean, but a lot of them are CIA. Basically, a lot of these rich people are CIA agents. The guy who's head of Facebook, he's CIA. Bezos is CIA. All of these people are CIA agents, or assets to some degree. You know what I'm saying?
Right, assets. Yeah.
I mean,
which means you on the payroll. You. Yeah.
I mean,
So look at this, man. Engineering deadly viruses is legal in the U.S.
I mean, because you gotta understand because. You have to understand how a lot of these people get their fortunes because the CIA says, you know what, we're going to make sure that you make lots of money as long as you do what we want you to do. You know what I'm saying? With the technology, you know what I'm saying? You develop this technology but we want you to do, you do your commercial thing, but we want you on the side to do all these other things. I mean, come on, man. This is what country and what history, have you been ingesting where you don't know that that's the order of the day? They did it with the Nazis.
They did it with the Nazis.
Then I mean, look at it. Look at all the companies, because the Nazis, I mean, and this is a little known history too, but it's not little known. They know it. Not Germany was a democracy and a capitalist country all day. They did not like communism, right? They were democratic capitalists, right? IBM was over there doing business with them. That's how the Jews got those tattoos, those number tattoos on their arm, because they had to put them into IBM computers. IBM had to go over there and service the computers regularly. You know what I'm saying? Man, and they knew that that's what they were using it for. I mean, come on, man. Corporations have always been in bed, you know what I'm saying, with military. I mean, come on. We're not 5 years old anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Some of us are, man. Some of us got arrested development. So this is really gonna hurt their feelings right here. Engineering deadly viruses is legal in the US. MERS-CoV is thought to originate from bats and spread directly to humans and/or camels. However, like Ebola, the precise ways the virus spreads are unknown. 1,980 cases with 699 deaths were reported in 15 countries across the world as of June 2017, caused by MERS-CoV. MERS-CoV is one of the viruses that have been engineered by the US and studied by the Pentagon, as well as influenza and SARS. Confirmation of this practice is Obama's 2014 temporary ban on government funding for such dual-use research. The moratorium was lifted in 2017, and experiments have continued. Enhanced potential pandemic pathogens, or PPPs, experiments are legal in the US. Such experiments aim to increase the transmissibility and/or virulence of pathogens. All right. So go through this one. Tularemia, also known as rabbit fever, is classified as a bioterrorism agent and was developed in the past as much by the US. However, the Pentagon's research on tularemia continues, as well as on possible vectors of the bacteria, such as ticks, rodents, which cause disease, blah, 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 blah. So tularemia. That's all tularemia. I want to go down to some more stuff that they got popping. The U.S. military program is sensitive information. Okay, whatever. Biowarfare scientists under diplomatic cover. Among the set of bilateral agreements between the U.S. and Ukraine is the establishment of the Science and Technology Center in Ukraine, an international organization funded mainly by the U.S. government, which has been accorded diplomatic status. The STCU officially supports projects of scientists previously involved in the Soviet biological weapons program. What does that sound like? That sounds like the exact same thing that's going on in Wuhan, China. You had that doggone dude setting up the lab in Wuhan. All right. So yeah, they use the swine flu over there. This is basically focused on Europe.
Okay.
The Ukraine specifically, but we know, they all around the world. We already know.
Well, the CIA don't have no country. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. $250,000 for lobbying Jeff Sessions for research for U.S. intelligence. Yeah, we already know about, oh boy, Jeff Sessions. 1 gram of the toxin can kill as many as 1 million people. botulinum neurotoxin poses a major bioweapon threat because of its extreme potency, ease of production and transport. It causes muscle paralysis, respiratory failure, and ultimately death if not treated immediately. A single gram of crystalline toxin, evenly dispersed and inhaled, can kill more than 1 million people. That sounds like something you could do with a chemtrail. It could be just
Say that
look.
again.
Check this out. A single gram of crystalline toxin, evenly dispersed and inhaled, can kill more than 1 million people. It could be decimated via aerosol or by contamination of water and or food supplies. The Pentagon produces live viruses, bacteria, and toxins. This is what I wanted to read. Botulinum toxin was tested as a bioweapon by the U.S. Army in the past, as well as anthrax, brucella, and tallurema. Although the U.S. bioweapons program was officially terminated in 1969, documents show that the military experiments have never ended. Presently, the Pentagon produces and tests live bioagents at the same military facility as it did in the past. And it says Dugway Proving Ground, but you know they're doing it at Fort Detrick, Maryland, also.
I think the word is botulism.
Okay, botulism. I know botulism. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you say it's what? Botulism?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds like what that is.
Okay.
Botulinum toxin, yeah. Cause I don't remember it specifically, but I remember that shit kills.
Yeah.
Man, they making all this stuff, bro. They making all this stuff, bro. They playing with all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So me, y'all, that's why I say you can't mandate no vaccine for me. You cannot, man, because this you're guilty. You guilty, man. So I'll be damned. You got me all the way. I can't trust you. You know, we ain't even talking about what they gonna put in that doggone vaccine, man.
I mean,
We
but
ain't
I mean,
talking about-
shit. And it's already been documented that the Johnson and Johnson, the damn syringes themselves are poisonous. You know,
And see
even
that
before you put anything in them. That was documented. This shit, the goddamn the damn needle was killing you.
the doggone needle, man.
The preservative in the fucking needle was killing motherfuckers.
U.S. Defense Agency tests GM insects to transmit GM viruses. The Pentagon has invested at least $65 million in gene editing. The U.S. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, or DARPA, has awarded 7 research teams to develop tools for genome engineering in insects, rodents, and bacteria under DARPA's SAFE gene program. I love how they flip everything. It's safe. It's a safe gene program.
Yeah.
You know, it's diabolical MFs, man. Under another military program, Insect Allies. Wow, Insect Allies. GM insects are engineered to transfer modified genes to plants. So, you know, okay, here, check this out. Genetically engineered humans. Besides gene editing in insects and in the viruses they transmit, the Pentagon wants to engineer humans as well. DARPA, Advanced Tools for Mammalian Genome Engineering project, seeks to create a biological platform inside the human body, using it to deliver new genetic information and thus altering humans at the DNA level. DARPA wants to insert an additional 47th artificial chromosome into human cells. This chromosome will deliver new genes that will be used for engineering the human body. Synploid Biotech LLC has been awarded 2 contracts under the program, totaling $1.1 million, $100,000 for the first phase, $99,000 for the second phase. All right, top secret research on synthetic viruses. Between 2008 and 2014, the United States invested approximately $820 million in synthetic biology research. Defense being a major contributor, most of the military projects on synthetic biology are classified. Among them are a number of classified studies by the secretive Jason Group of U.S. military advisors, emerging viruses and genome editing for the Pentagon, and synthetic viruses for the National Counterterrorism Center. Of course, ethnic bioweapons. Ethnic biological weapons is a theoretical weapon that aims to primarily harm people of specific ethnicities and genotypes. And that's the proof that they did it in Russia.
Okay.
Tobacco vaccines, how the Pentagon helped tobacco companies to profit from Ebola. A side note, so if COVID-19 is a respiratory disease, you notice they don't really harp on the fact that smoking cigarettes is a contributing factor. You notice how they never do that? Isn't that interesting?
I mean, it would probably be the most obvious thing to say to people, you know, build up, you know what I'm saying? Don't do things that are going to impact your lung function. You know what I mean? That would, if I was a FINA official, that would be the first thing I say is like, yo, protect your lungs. Anything you can do to protect your lungs, you know, or anything that you shouldn't be doing, let's kind of slow that down. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing.
But they don't mention it.
If I was serious, and I was in a position.
If I was serious, you know, if you're really serious about cutting this thing down, right? The first thing you do is like, no, we're not selling cigarettes until we figure this thing out.
Right.
But if you really care, though.
Yeah.
You know, so just think about this. They already dealing with tobacco leaves in the processing of this stuff. So the tobacco companies are directly connected to this thing. Directly connected. The 100 million program Blue Angel was launched as a response to the H1N1 pandemic in 2009. Medicago, it must be in Chicago. Medicago being awarded $21 million to produce 10. I don't know what that is. Is that 10 million doses of an influenza vaccine within 1 month? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so
Pour me some juice.
Pour you the juice, man. Pour you the juice. So, man, yeah, man. They look, man. Biological, bro. Diabolical. That's what I meant to say. Diabolical.
Diabolically biologicals.
Diabolically biologicals, man. You checked out this brother yet? Yeah, he's not a brother. This dude right here. He a doctor.
Nah, man. I'm trying to figure out though, what that brother from the CDC who came up missing, what he had to do with all this.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
What did he have to do with all this, bro?
I forgot about fam. I forgot about that, man. I forgot about that dude.
And say that the comparison between cancer, for example, and COVID-19 or coronavirus is not accurate because you can't die from cancer. That was actually a comment that was made. But of course, we know that's not true. But I think what they were trying to say, and what the majority of the other comments were, was that cancer won't kill you within a few days, whereas coronavirus will. Well, that's not really accurate. And most
this dude goes in. It's the long video. We can't watch it. This dude go. When I tell you this man went in.
Video is about the
let me see
scientific corruption that you as the public must realize. And I'm going to present the information to you and let you decide whether it constitutes corruption or not. You be the ultimate judge. Now, before we get going on the actual topic, I just want to again reiterate.
What is it? What is the main point though? He's trying to get at.
The main point is basically that
coronavirus is not accurate. It's not fair because
COVID-19 is man-made. It's a bioweapon,
so
and it was cultured.
The Worldometer
in it was cultured under that Dr. Fauci that be with Trump all the time. He was over the infectious disease department of the NIH. And under his guidance, the NIH allowed them to do experiments and make COVID-19 or make the coronavirus more virulent, or make it a stronger, more dangerous virus.
Right.
That was done under Dr. Fauci and the NIH, at the NIH.
Right.
So that's his whole point. He laid it out with the proof. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But that's a long story short of it. I was looking for the actual. I don't know. He got it somewhere in here. Let's see.
That's the difference, and I want you to keep that in mind, because on the next video, we're going to be talking about a major industry that people have been talking about that is directly related to this. And because they couldn't allow a major industry to take a hit, that's why the coronavirus was blamed for this. But now let's get into the scientific corruption aspect. We're going to start off with a little bit of history about the coronavirus. This article actually gives a short, brief history of the human coronavirus, which first was described in 1965 by a few researchers named Tyrrell and Baino. It was found in the human embryonic tracheal organ cultures obtained from the respiratory tracts of an adult with a common cold. And it has been attributed to the source of a common cold for a number of decades. Now, in the late 1960s, Tyrrell was leading a group of virologists looking at a specific strain and was working with human strains and a number of animal viruses. Now, these included infectious bronchitis virus, as well as mouse hepatitis virus and transmittable gastroenteritis virus from the porcines, or from swine, from pigs, all of which had been demonstrated to be morphologically the same as seen through electron microscopy as each other. So what this is basically saying is, from the morphological characteristics when looking through an electron microscope, the swine flu version, or the swine virus version of this coronavirus, as well as the mouse hepatitis version, which affects the liver, as well as the infectious bronchitis virus that was found in humans, were all morphologically the same. This new group of viruses was then named coronavirus. Corona denoted.
So basically, he's saying that they start from a. The proof is that they all come from the same base molecular blueprint, and they just basically manipulate them from there.
Yeah,
exclusively, largely because they were the easiest ones to work with.
You know, otherwise you wouldn't see the connecting molecular similarities.
The found was from an epidemiologic and from a volunteer
and I mean that's basically that just saying that somebody engineered it. If they all have this molecular base that's the same, somebody made this, because they're not all supposed to have the same molecular base.
Right.
Now, while the research
if they come from a natural etymology, you know what I'm saying?
And the epidemiology, the incidence of how virulent this virus was, and of this coronavirus, the number and importance of animal coronaviruses were growing rapidly. So they were starting to see this in other species. Chances are they were always there. We just were discovering them. Coronaviruses were described that cause diseases in multiple animals, including rats, mice, chickens, turkeys, calves, dogs, cats, rabbits, and pigs. Animal studies included, but were not limited to, research that focused on respiratory disorders. The study focus included disorders of the gastroenteritis, hepatitis, and encephalitis in mice. Now that's the gut, inflammation of the gut, inflammation of the liver, and inflammation of the brain in mice, as well as pneumonitis and thielodacrylodinitis in rats, and then infectious peritonitis in cats. So these are all different types of peritonitis. For example, is inflammation of the peritoneum, the lining within the gut. It doesn't make any difference what these different things were. The point is they were studying them in different animals. All right. Then in the early 2000s, SARS came about. And the emergence of SARS, which is an acronym that stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, was the turning point when we started to look at the coronavirus with a different viewpoint. So during 2002-2003 outbreak, the SARS infection was reported in 29 countries in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. Overall, over 8,000 people were infected, and the specific strain was called 774 SARS related, and those were the fatalities. It's still unclear how the virus entered the human population and whether the Himalayan palm civet, which is a type of a cat, were the natural reservoir for the virus. That's what it was attributed to. They later did sequential analysis of the virus, and they isolated from Himalayan palm cats and revealed that this virus contained a 29 nucleotide sequence not found in most human isolates. So basically, there were 29 nucleotide components that were different from humans, that humans didn't have, but these cats had it. And so that's why they attributed it to a spread from these civets. All right. Now, it was the SARS epidemic that actually launched the interest into coronavirus. And there was a lot of effort, time, money put in to understand the coronavirus. And most of the pathogenesis go on to the current issue with the coronavirus that has caused the outbreak in 2020, and look at the specific version of this coronavirus. So this particular version is called COVID-19. Now, it's been labeled as a bioweapon by some people, and of course, the media, says that that's conspiracy theory, blah blah blah. But let's look at the actual configuration of what this virus.
Check this out, man. Check what's in this virus, bro.
The first thing is I want to say that this wasn't because people were eating bat soup, okay, or transferred from snakes or sloths or whatever they said. The virus is not a naturally occurring phenomena. This is very important, and I'm going to show you evidence of that. All right. Back over 20 years ago, the Chinese government talked about how their long-range plan for ensuring Chinese national sovereignty, if you will, was going to involve the use of biological weapons. Now, here's what it comes down to. There's no possibility that this virus occurred naturally. This was confirmed on February 8th by a peer-reviewed virology journal, volume 16, published in April 2020. So this is coming out next month, but I will show you. In fact, here is the study, and you can see published date is April 2020. And it's talking about the spike glycoprotein of the new coronavirus 2019 nCoV, which is basically the COVID-19, contains a furin-like cleavage site absent in coronavirus of the same clade. So this furin-like cleavage site is absent in the regular coronavirus, it is present in COVID-19. That's very, very important, and I will come back to that. There's an underlying implication here that this is very subtle, but the only possible reason for this modification is the creation of a biological warfare weapon. There are no other plausible explanations. Now, that sounds a little far-fetched, I agree, but wait, you're going to understand. Because when you start understanding this furin cleavage component that we're talking about, then it starts to make a little bit of sense. But why would somebody do that? Well, or how can we prove that somebody actually did that? So we're going to talk about that. Now, this virus was actually created at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and it published the highlights of the creation in November 2015. The list of scholars associated with this Frankenstein of a virus, you'll see named Zheng Li Shi, who just happens to represent the key laboratory of special pathogens and biosafety, Wuhan Institute of Virology, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Wuhan, China. Of course, there were other scientists, but most of them representing the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill location, but there were also representatives from the Bellinzona Institute of Microbiology from Zurich, Switzerland, as well as Harvard Medical School. All right. Now, Dr. Shi, she's a key figure here. In 2014, Dr. Shi was the recipient of a number of U.S. government grants, as well as grants from the National Basics Research Program of China, the Chinese Academy of Science, the National Natural Science Foundation of China, and from the Strategic Priority Research Program of Chinese Academy of Sciences to assist in funding research into coronaviruses. Now, this is, remember, 2015. All right. What's interesting is that the U.S. government paid Dr. Shi and the Chinese government to fund research into coronaviruses. Now, what did we get for this research that we paid, the taxpayer money went for? So this is what we got. Using the SARS-CoV-2 genetic system, and it goes into some specifics on the type of viruses that we're looking at, the backbone of the virus. The results indicate that group 2B viruses encoding the specific version that they were looking at in a wild type backbone. This is SHC014 spike in a wild type backbone, meaning the naturally occurring virus, can efficiently use multiple orthologs of the SARS receptor human angiotensin converting enzyme ACE2. Now, I want to talk about this issue with the angiotensin converting enzyme in a later video. It's not pertinent here, but it is pertinent when we start talking about some of the misinformation regarding treatments that's coming out. Goes on to say that both monoclonal antibody and vaccine approaches failed to neutralize and protect from infection with coronavirus using the novel spike protein. So this novel spike protein was essentially something that they introduced into the coronavirus, and it essentially was a morphological departure from the naturally occurring coronavirus using the backbone of the virus. The implications are very, very suspect. Right, so they took SARS, the virus that caused SARS in 2002, 2003, and that was carried by bats, making the rounds back in 2003, and reverse engineered the genetic coding itself inside the virus. And they took the backbone of the original wild type virus, and that's when they started messing around with it. They then inserted additional proteins to enhance the efficacy of the virus inside the human lungs, specifically for the human aspect, making it extremely difficult to vaccinate against because a new virus has multiple proteins with which to attack. So basically what they did was they made a bug, a virus, into a super virus. What would be the purpose of doing such a thing? Well, it'll become self-evident here in a few moments. What's also interesting is that these coronaviruses that they took from the SARS component and then they manipulated them, these cells were originally obtained from Fort Detrick. You may remember that Fort Detrick was also where some of the other HIV testing had been done and research had been done.
He ain't getting to the nitty-gritty though, bro.
He finna get to
He
it.
used to be the director of laboratory at MD Anderson, wrote a book called Project Daylily about his work with some of the stuff that happened with the special forces, some of the research that was done at Fort Detrick, some of the stuff that was done in the HIV arena. And again, a lot of this stuff was done at Fort Detrick. So it's interesting that the correlation, this is like 20, 25 years ago. All right, so they say in the paper in 2015, remember they went back, this is going on from 2003 to 2015 now. They were looking at the SARS component from 2003, the coronavirus that caused SARS, and they were now manipulating that. And they published this manipulation study. What after they manipulated it, they published it in this 2015 paper. And they created this hybrid virus, which is far more deadly and can't be vaccinated against. It is resistant to vaccination because of
that's the one. That's the one they got a patent on.
That will create the wild type backbone.
Yeah, we know that. We know we got. So what he's saying, we know that they got a patent on the virus.
You remember what gain and pathogenesis?
Hold up, this right here.
Gain of function is a term that they use in virology, or actually in research. So gain of function. Okay, here it is. That's a gain of function right there. They admit it. Gain of function basically means taking something and making it more potent, all right? So pathogenesis means without the lethalness and the infectiousness of something. The pathogenesis is the cause of the actual problem, cause of the disease. And Dr. Shi learns how to perform gain of function operations within viruses, and then she returns to her post in Wuhan, China. So she learned this in University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. They get the cells from Fort Detrick, and now she goes back to Wuhan, which is where the techniques that she learned about gain of function were then applied. Fast forward to November 2019, a breach of containment occurs at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and patient 0 is detected somewhere between December 1st and December 12th. Now, we don't know about the details. We don't know who the patient 0 was, but apparently there was a breach and containment. Now,
so yeah, I wanted. Okay, this way he's gonna go down to Fauci.
She's one of the authors that published,
but he goes on to implicate Fauci,
stating that it is
in that, and that's the hard part about it, man. This man that's getting up at the press conference that people just think is the hero to the world is actually the one that allowed her to do her thing,
right?
You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we know it's that shit. They let them do everything.
You know. So
I mean, but really, we really need to be looking at what the hell has Bill Gates been doing all this time quietly.
Yeah. So that's really the dude though, and he's been hella quiet.
Yeah, that's not a good thing that he's been quiet all this time.
Yeah, you did all this talking, all this barking, all the way up to this TED Talk and speaking here, but now you just quiet, and then you left your post on Microsoft officially in January. You stepped down. Just like a lot of them CEOs, man. So it's real suspect. We already
that ties into all those string of, what was it, a couple hundred CEOs?
Yeah, a couple hundred CEOs stepped down. You had the senators and the congressmen, making sure that they sell their stocks off. So they already knew what was up. But you're right though, Bill Gates is the dude, because he gonna try to push for the man.
Well, I mean, there was an article. He's now working with who is he working with? Fuck. I think he's working with Bezos now. They're teaming up.
Really?
There was an article saying that they now have teamed up.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where we are. So knowledge is power. People need to know the truth that this is not this didn't come from no bat. And the reason why people need to know that is we can use that as a leverage to say, no, We're not taking we're not taking your mandatory vaccines. You all are not the preeminent.
But here's the thing though. No, the leverage comes from, forget all that, because that's almost more of an emotional plea. We just gonna say, yo, we stand on the Constitution.
Yeah.
We don't have to give you a reason.
Yeah. Right. Anyway.
We don't have to give you a reason.
Yeah. We don't have to give you a reason, but it strengthens that argument even more.
Well, well, I get what you're saying. It strengthens it for those who are not willing to stand 100.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we already willing to stand 100. So,
we already stand 100, you know? So we don't even need that. You're right, bro. We don't even need that, man. So, yo, in closing, man, appreciate my life. In closing, man, appreciate having you on, bro. And man, any last words?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think human development, and I think where we're going as human beings, I think is the cure-all for a lot of this. I mean, the Constitution basically is giving us an ability to fall back on what is our the essence of who we are, and are we willing to stand on that despite what the world says and has set up for us? Because the world, as we know, again, thinks that human development depends on making money, and depends on the evolution of technology, both of which are irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Because neither of which can unfold the human species to where they need to be. You know what I'm saying? With or without technology, you are who you are. You know what I'm saying? But your evolution as a human being is not dependent on having and not having. So I think the Constitution allows us to stand on, you know what I'm saying, gives us the idea that we need the law on our side to be able to stand as human beings, to decide who we want to be at any point in time, to make the choice that we want to make, as far as what does it mean to evolve. And I think that we haven't given a lot of thought to that. I think we've given a lot of our energy to candidates, to government, to ideologies, to religion, to a lot of things. But I think we're missing the key component is, who are you? You know what I'm saying? And what do you know as far as who you are, outside of these things that in a lot of ways have become crutches, because we assume that when we say communism, we think that when we say the word communism, that doesn't mean the same thing that a communist in Russia says. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. It might have the same wordings, but in essence, these are two different things to do two different people. And then if you move things from a historical basis, you know what I'm saying, in time, from an earlier time to now, you're still talking about two different things. So we can't really rely on so-called the intellect to say, okay, this is who we are based on these terminologies. Religious terminologies, intellectual terminologies. We actually have to know who we are. You know what I'm saying? And knowing who you are is more evidenced by where you decide to stand, and what you decide to stand on in a practical sense. You know what I'm saying? That's going to tell more about whether you know who you are or not. You know what I'm saying? Where do you stand? Why do you stand? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't disconnect the two.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah, because if how you standing don't match up, what's really going on?
I mean, but like I said, we really are not even, we really don't even know what these words mean. They're just words. They're pointing symbols to other ideas, deeper ideas. But I'm saying, but you got to experience those deeper ideas first before the word really fully has that meaning. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. So I think we're not living our full lives, you know what I'm saying, to even be making a lot of these determinations. I think we take a lot of things for granted. And I think the Constitution is not an end all be all, but it's for it. The Constitution is for us because we're babies. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
Constitution is not this great thing because it's so above us.
Right.
It's the Constitution is necessary because of the fact is we're babies and we're
Right.
not fully who we are yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When we become fully who we are, the Constitution becomes null and void. I mean,
Right.
in an analogy sense, you know, becoming white. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not that white is the end all be all, but we can use that analogy. Being white basically supersedes everything in life. You know what I'm saying? Comparatively to other human beings. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Being white, you don't need anything. You don't need a constitution. You know what I'm saying? You don't need anything.
You
You know what I'm
don't.
saying? I mean, but we have to get to the point to where from an analogy standpoint.
You didn't need it.
Right.
But
Right.
they finna find out that even they need it now.
Right. Because that's because there's an unraveling of whiteness. That's why. That's why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying in the end all be all sense, but I'm just saying how it has looked and how it has played out is that whiteness hasn't needed it. You know what I'm saying? If we take it on its face value, you know what I'm saying? But if we use that analogy, we have to become white in or this omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent being, you know what I'm saying, where we're not relying on anything as well. You know, because I was even just thinking about just recently, I was looking at the pyramids in Egypt, and I'm like, yo, man, why are we so hung up on a pyramid? And I was thinking, I'm like, they got pyramids all around the world, bro.
I know.
Some of them bigger than the ones in Egypt, but they have us pigeonholed trying to, you know what I'm saying? They got all the black people in the world looking to that one area, trying to defend the ideological importance of that area. You know what I'm saying? When understanding there's something deeper at work when you have people all over the world building pyramids.
Same science. You know, same science. So they had to be genetically connected, man.
You know what I'm saying? What does that mean when you had all these different people just building pyramids like it wasn't shit?
Yeah.
And then now you can't find one culture or group that can duplicate that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All over the world, they were just building pyramids like it wasn't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm just saying so I'm saying the human being is more than the limited ideological boxes, you know, or labels that we have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something that we're not tapping into. You know what I'm saying? Fully.
Yeah. And when you tap into that, you damn sure won't need no raggedy ass constitution.
You won't need you. You won't need it. But right now, until until we get there, and you know what I'm saying, until we fully unfold,
Definitely.
we need that Constitution. You know,
And
you understand what I'm saying?
we need to be well versed in it, and we need to use it as a weapon in warfare.
Yes, I.
And on that note, man, thank you, my brother.
Yes,
You already know, man. So stay up, keep that immune system strong, and I'll see you on the other side, fam.
All right, peace, bro.
Okay, peace, man. In a minute.